Dr. Taylor was frantically trying to figure it out. Every year, over 11,000 people saw their type 2 diabetes mysteriously reversed, and Big Pharma was trying to cover it up. It couldn't be a fluke. It happened every single year. 11,000 people with diabetes saw their pancreas kick back on, their insulin resistance disappear, and their blood sugar return to healthy levels. But even their doctors, they couldn't say why. If Dr. Taylor could solve this mystery, then the 29 million Americans with diabetes would be able to throw away their medication and insulin injections, costing Big Pharma over $245 billion per year. That meant the clock was ticking for Dr. Taylor. He had to solve this medical mystery before the medical establishment covered it up forever. Those 11,000 people per year had to have something in common that was reversing their type 2 diabetes. But what was it? That's what Dr. Taylor was determined to find out. If he could discover the answer, he would become the first doctor to discover the real cause of type 2 diabetes. And no, it's not skinny versus fat. Create a natural treatment that reverses the disease without medication. Permanently fix the root cause of the disease and not just slap a Band-Aid fix on the symptoms like insulin injections. Eliminate the need for diabetes medication and insulin injections in 100% of his type 2 diabetes patients. And break the chains of the millions of people who are trapped as Big Pharma's diabetes cash cows, forking over an average of $13,700 every year just to get more and more sick, all while Big Pharma and the medical establishment try to slip the real cure under the rug. Can you imagine how that would feel for those patients when they realize they never again have to say no to their favorite foods or stick themselves with painful finger pricks and needles or ever feel like a burden on their friends and family? But this wouldn't be the first time Big Pharma has buried a diabetes cure. No, in 1997, a researcher named Irving Weissman discovered a method to cure type 2 diabetes using adult stem cells, but pharmaceutical companies ignored him and refused to sponsor clinical trials. They squashed a method that could have cured millions of diabetics. Because once you're cured, hey, you won't be forking over $13,700 per year anymore for drugs and insulin that only manage your symptoms. That's why they wanted to bury this new medical mystery before Dr. Taylor could solve it. Dr. Taylor was in a race to give a new life to everyone with type 2 diabetes if he could only figure out what was mysteriously reversing the disease of those 11,000 people every year. So what happened, and why am I telling you this? Well, I'll answer the second question first. My name is David Andrews, and I actually have a personal stake in this mystery and cover-up. You see, a few years ago, doctors told me they'd have to amputate my legs because of my type 2 diabetes. Now, when all this happened, I didn't realize just how despicable the diabetes industry was. I didn't realize how debilitating and deadly this disease can be, even when you're managing it, and I certainly didn't realize that the diabetes industry is purposely risking our lives just to make a buck. But now, well, I've done my homework, and in my research, I've uncovered some eye-opening, well, even shocking facts. But I've also found hope for folks like me, folks who have diabetes. Now, a lot of folks act like I did at first. We let the statistics go in one ear and out the other. But this is important. It really is. Because every single person represented in these statistics is someone like you and me. A mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a son or daughter, grandparents, friends, neighbors, coworkers, loved ones. You, me. Hey, we don't think we're going to be a statistic, but that's what this horrible disease does to folks like us. Like the stat I was being faced with that day at the hospital. Hey, did you know that every day over 200 people with diabetes have a limb amputated? That's over 70,000 per year. And even more distressing, 1 in 4 didn't know they had diabetes until it was too late. But worst of all, amputation isn't even the most dangerous part of uncontrolled blood sugar. You may or may not know, diabetes also leads to Alzheimer's, dementia, heart failure, and cancer. When you have excess glucose, your blood becomes a nutrition-packed smoothie for cancer tumors, helping them grow at deadly speeds. That's why the Harvard Medical School Cancer Center warned that 80% of all cancer is partially caused by imbalanced blood glucose and insulin. But it doesn't end there. No, a study published in the medical journal Neurology found that diabetes almost doubled the risk of dementia. Your glucose-packed blood constantly rushes through your brain, adding to the buildup that causes Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. When I read that, I couldn't help but imagine it building up inside my own brain. As I kept reading about my disease, it only got worse. One study showed that if you've got diabetes, your risk of a heart attack is 11 times higher than the average person. Well, at my age, I already had to worry about heart attacks, but it terrified me to learn that my risk was so much higher than I thought. Another found that diabetes increases your risk of having a stroke by 150% and the risk of a stroke being fatal by over 500%. I knew type 2 diabetes was bad, but come on, it wasn't until I found these stats that I realized just how deadly of a situation I was really in. And that's when I started to get really pissed off. Yeah, the pharmaceutical companies know about these risks. They do, but as long as they get your $13,700 each and every year, hey, they don't care. But if this disease is so deadly, why do most doctors prescribe treatments that only manage the symptoms while ignoring the root cause? Why are they willing to go along with Big Pharma's scheme to keep you trapped with type 2 diabetes and hooked on their drugs and insulin? Especially when new research has revealed the real cause of diabetes, and it's provided a simple solution that so far over 38,317 people have used to jumpstart their body's blood glucose regulation system. Well, the short answer is that in the last few years, 24 of the top 25 pharmaceutical giants have been caught bribing doctors to prescribe their drugs and to cover up the discovery of a real cure. They'll pull just about any dirty trick to keep you as one of their diabetes cash cows. But I'll share those details with you in just a second. First, though, I want to tell you the story of my own diabetes battle and tell you the story of Dr. Taylor's race against time to solve this decades-old medical mystery and change diabetes treatment as we know it forever, and how you can use his scientific discoveries to restore your healthy blood sugar and even reverse your type 2 diabetes. This new solution works by jump-starting your pancreas. It's the organ that keeps your blood sugar levels healthy and keeps away insulin resistance. With this pancreas jump-start solution that I'm about to show you, you'll be able to eliminate your need for medication. When you watch this video to the end, I'm also going to show you the easiest, most relaxing trick I use to instantly lower my blood sugar after I enjoy something sweet, because I am a sucker for a can of Coke or a bowl of vanilla ice cream and some apple pie. And this isn't some gimmick you see on the internet like drinking gallons of water or soaking your food in vinegar. It's just cold, hard facts that you can start using tonight, discovered by medical researchers to keep your blood sugar down for up to 24 hours. Because when you jumpstart your pancreas, you'll be able to do it without losing your favorite foods, without getting drenched in sweat and gasping for breath from exhausting workouts, and without needing impossible levels of self-control. Hey, it doesn't matter if you've had your disease for decades. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if your blood sugar levels are sky high. Just imagine, once you discover how to jumpstart your pancreas, which I'll show you in this presentation, you'll be free from annoying insulin shots and painful finger pricks. You'll say goodbye to medicines that make you fat and nauseous. You'll stop worrying about early death, amputations, and risky surgeries. Your painful, tingling neuropathy in your feet, hands, and everywhere else in your body will fade away. You'll break free from the anxiety of constantly monitoring your blood sugar, watching jealously as other people eat your favorite foods. Hey, and you'll never again feel like a burden on your family and friends. Just like Andrew from Battleground, Michigan, who said, "Your presentation showed me the simple solution to my diabetes and the science to back it up. My doctor was shocked when he learned I hadn't needed an insulin shot for weeks and that I reversed my diabetes in just 17 days. And Doug from Salt Lake City, Utah, who said, "Just the thought of leaving my house made me exhausted. Diabetes made me feel like a prisoner in my own life. I'm so glad I found this scientifically proven way to reverse my type 2 diabetes." Everybody with type 2 diabetes needs to watch this video right now so they can reverse their diabetes in just a few weeks. Listen, it is not your fault you have this disease. Once you know the real cause of type 2 diabetes, you'll eliminate your need for medication, and you'll break free from being one of Big Pharma's diabetes cash cows. So you need to turn off your cell phone and grab a pen and paper, because you're about to discover how to destroy your type 2 diabetes. First, let me introduce myself. My name is David Andrews. I'm 51, I'm married with 2 children, and I'm the head chef at a 5-star restaurant near Washington, D.C. Now, I'm going to share my story with you, and honestly, it's a little embarrassing, but it's worth it if it'll help you get free from your disease. You see, a few years ago, I almost lost everything. I'd been suffering from type 2 diabetes for over a decade, always a slave to my blood sugar. Heck, I became a chef because I loved food, and now I was stuck eating bland, boring meals. I was a burden on my family, and I was terrified that my kids would end up with my disease. Every single day, I had to prick my finger to test my blood sugar and then give myself painful insulin shots. You know what? I was spending about $2,000 per month on insulin. I tried the other diabetes medications that my doctor recommended, like metformin, Actos, or Amaryl. That was a disaster. Metformin and Actos made me feel nauseous all the time, and Amaryl just made me fat. My type 2 diabetes was emptying my wallet and destroying my body. Honestly, I felt trapped. You probably felt that way, haven't you? Terrified that your diabetes will make you more and more miserable until it finally decides to kill you? But for me, it was about to get even worse. I'll never forget that day in my restaurant's kitchen. I was understaffed during a Saturday evening dinner rush. My stress was through the roof, my heart was pounding, and the heat was overpowering. I received an order for a medium rare steak, then my knees went weak. Next thing I know, I woke up in a hospital room. It smelled like bleach, and a beeping heart monitor told me that I was still alive. My wife was at my side, her eyes red and puffy from crying. She saw I was awake. She threw her arms around me and then called for the doctor. He came in and explained what happened. "You went into a diabetic coma," he said. "A non-ketotic, hyperglycemic, hyperosmolar coma. Your blood glucose level was at 1174. If I'd been alone when it happened, I'd be dead." The doctor cleared his throat like he was nervous about telling me something even worse. "Because your diabetes is so advanced," he said, "we'll need to remove your legs." What? It's every diabetic's worst fear. Amputation. I could already hear the buzz of the blade and smell the burnt, powdery scent of the saw cutting through bone. "No," said my wife, "absolutely not." "I'm sorry," the doctor insisted. "We can give him another 10 years to live, but we have to operate within 90 days. Tears glistened in my wife's eyes, and she squeezed my hand tight. She was as terrified as I was. The next week was the worst of my life. I spent all day on the couch, and I'm embarrassed to admit I felt pretty sorry for myself. You see, our oldest daughter had recently announced that she and her husband were expecting our first granddaughter. Ever since my daughter got married, I've been so excited to be a grandpa. I always pictured myself walking up to the hospital nursery and looking through the window at all the newborns in their cribs. I just knew I'd be able to recognize my granddaughter. That was going to be the first in a lifetime of cherished moments with her. But now I'd be in a wheelchair. I'd be stuck looking at the bottom windowsill while my wife described my granddaughter to me. I know I'd still be a grandpa, and I should be grateful, but I was losing more than that first moment. You see, I'd never chase her across the house when she learned to walk, or run around the yard with her when the leaves were falling. My granddaughter would never see me as a playmate, more like a fragile piece of furniture. I almost gave up. It was a real crossroads. I could sit back and accept my fate, lose my legs, and die young, never seeing my granddaughter grow up. Or I could fight it and find a way to destroy my diabetes. Well, I knew I had to fight. I was determined to stand on my own 2 feet when I looked through that nursery window for the first time. So I got on my computer, and I started researching. Now, at first, everything I found was infuriating. Remember how I mentioned that Big Pharma buried Irving Weissman's discovery that he could reverse diabetes with adult stem cells? Well, it turns out it gets even more despicable. You see, Big Pharma's been caught red-handed bribing doctors to prescribe their drugs. 24 of the 25 biggest pharmaceutical companies have faced charges for bribery or other fraud. Pfizer, Sanofi, Johnson & Johnson, Bayer. The list just goes on and on and on. Why would they stoop so low? Because they don't care about your health. They only care about the $13,700 per year every diabetes sufferer pays them for treatment that ignores the root cause, leaving you on diabetes life support. And even worse, the medical establishment knows full well that leaving us stuck with high blood sugar and diabetes raises our risk of heart attack, stroke, and Alzheimer's, but they still don't care. We're their personal herd of diabetes cash cows, and they're raking in over $245 billion per year. But their scam all falls apart as soon as someone discovers a cure. And as luck would have it, I discovered an article that led me to the biggest medical mystery of the last 100 years. It was about a rogue diabetes researcher named Roy Taylor. He's a medical doctor and professor of medicine and metabolism at Newcastle University. Now, if you haven't heard of Newcastle, it's in England, and it's one of the most respected universities in the world. It's right up there with Harvard or Oxford. More importantly, its professors and alumni have saved millions of lives by curing and preventing diseases. And Dr. Taylor fits right in. He's been published in dozens of medical journals, changing the way we see diabetes. Well, a few years ago, he faced his biggest challenge yet, a medical mystery that had gone unsolved since 1954. You see, when type 2 diabetics have gastric bypass surgery, their diabetes disappears almost overnight. This happens all over the world, and it's been happening for decades to the tune of around 11,000 people every single year. The thing is, gastric bypass surgery is an operation on the stomach. It doesn't have anything to do with blood sugar or diabetes. And yet, almost every single patient has their blood sugar and insulin levels return to normal, eliminating their need for diabetes medication. And for years, no one knew why, because Big Pharma did their best to cover it up. But Dr. Taylor found out about it. He knew that something was reversing their disease and was determined to figure out what, whether or not Big Pharma tried to shut him down. Now, we already knew that type 2 diabetics have fat deposits around their pancreas, but for years, researchers thought they were an effect of the disease. Here's what Dr. Taylor discovered. These fat deposits around the pancreas are the primary cause of the disease. You see, the pancreas produces insulin, the hormone that helps your body absorb blood sugar. That means the pancreas is the organ responsible for keeping your blood glucose levels normal. It's a precise job. Not enough insulin, and your blood sugar will skyrocket. Well, when fat deposits form around the pancreas, it throws everything out of whack. That fat squeezes and invades the pancreas, preventing it from producing enough insulin and increasing your body's insulin resistance. That means your bloodstream gets less insulin, and the insulin that's actually there can barely do its job of helping your body absorb blood sugar. Your blood glucose levels stay dangerously high, and you develop type 2 diabetes. Dr. Taylor realized that for the gastric bypass patients, their type 2 diabetes disappeared because the fat deposits around their pancreas disappeared. Get rid of the fat deposits, and you get rid of type 2 diabetes. Now remember, the surgery doesn't touch these fat deposits, so the mystery continued. What was dissolving these fat deposits? Finally, in early 2012, Dr. Taylor discovered the answer. Everyone that goes through gastric bypass surgery is given a temporary meal plan to follow. This meal plan has the exact fats, sugars, carbs, and essential vitamins and minerals to attack and destroy those fat deposits around the pancreas. So with the fat deposits gone, the pancreas kicked back into gear, regulating blood glucose by producing the right amount of insulin and lowering insulin resistance. So by the end of this meal plan, virtually every single person reduced or eliminated their need for diabetes medication. Dr. Taylor was thrilled. He had discovered the real cause of type 2 diabetes, and he discovered the solution that had been right under everyone's nose for decades. But now, he needed to prove it. And since Dr. Taylor works at one of the top diabetes research universities in the world, well, he didn't have to go to the medical establishment and ask for funding. He used Newcastle University's resources to prove his discovery, while Big Pharma fumed and stomped their feet and couldn't do a thing to stop him. He designed a temporary meal plan to jumpstart the pancreas based on the one used by the gastric bypass patients. Then he gave that meal plan to people with type 2 diabetes from all walks of life, men, women, young, old, the newly diagnosed, and people who'd had the disease for decades. And the results were amazing. Every single person saw the fat deposits around their pancreas disappear, their blood sugar normalize, and their type 2 diabetes reversed. They were all able to stop taking their medication. I'll say that again. All of the participants, 100%. And these results were published and peer-reviewed in the medical journal Diabetologia, which means other researchers tested them for accuracy with the utmost scrutiny. Now, here's the frustrating part. Even after Dr. Taylor proved that he'd found the cure for type 2 diabetes, the medical establishment still ignored him. Big Pharma bribes too many doctors to push their drugs. A cure would cost them $245 billion per year. Now, when I realized this, I determined two things. Number one, I would use Dr. Taylor's discovery to reverse my own diabetes. And number two, I'd share this discovery with everyone I could who was trapped as one of Big Pharma's diabetes cash cows. I started off by recreating the meal plan, and since I'm a chef, well, I kept all the essential elements and added my own flair to make it delicious. I tried it out, and it worked. After just 3 weeks, my blood glucose levels were normal, and I didn't need insulin injections. But even after that, I knew I wasn't done. You see, for half of the participants in Dr. Taylor's study, the fat deposits reformed around their pancreas, and their disease came back. I wanted my type 2 diabetes gone for good, so I had to figure out what exactly kept the other 50% of participants diabetes-free. Here's what I discovered. If you boost your metabolism, then your disease can't come back. Now, there's a million ways to boost your metabolism, but I needed methods that worked especially well for ex-diabetics. So I set a few requirements. First, these metabolism-boosting tricks had to take less than 5 minutes. Second, I wasn't interested in running marathons or any other ridiculous cardio. And third, I wanted to do it from the comfort of my own home. I found 7 metabolism-boosting rules that fit all 3 of these requirements and are especially effective for diabetics and ex-diabetics. Soon, I went long past the 3-month mark without needing any medication. And as an added bonus, I also lost 19 pounds. Things were really looking up, but it almost didn't last. I kept having days when I almost needed an injection. I felt like I was walking a tightrope. I couldn't figure out why. Finally, one day I got lucky. I slept in and ate breakfast and lunch at different times than usual. As I checked my blood sugar throughout the day, it was completely normal. I stuck to that same pattern all week, and for the first time in years, my blood glucose levels were 100% healthy. You see, it's not just what you eat, it's when you eat. Regulating your blood sugar is about timing. Once I realized this, I read every study I could find and tested different timings on myself. Finally, I found the perfect schedule. I figured out when to eat which foods. And the best part is, this is a temporary program, just like the meal plan. So once you reverse your disease, you're done. Can you imagine how excited I was? With this latest discovery, I actually reversed my type 2 diabetes. I told my wife, and she wept for joy. A few weeks later, I sat in my doctor's office waiting for the test results. My doctor came in with a stunned look on his face and said, "We don't need to amputate. And as healthy as these tests look, you could live to be 100. Now, I want you to imagine hearing the doctor say, "Your diabetes has disappeared." Suddenly, I had my whole life ahead of me. I would never have to stick myself with painful needles. I'd never be a burden to my family and friends. Hey, I could go hiking or to the beach or on any vacation with my family and not worry about how tired I would get or what food I could eat. Hey, I was finally free. And 5 months later, our daughter's precious bundle of joy arrived. I walked into that hospital the proudest grandpa there's ever been, and that moment I'd been looking forward to, well, I walked up to the nursery window with my arm around my wife, and I knew exactly which newborn was our granddaughter. That evening, over a scrumptious dinner, I talked with my wife about my journey to reversing my diabetes. She said, "We have to share your secret." And of course, she was right. But with the medical establishment covering up this discovery, if we wanted to get the word out, it would be up to us. We decided to form a group of people who know the real cause of type 2 diabetes and the secret to jumpstarting your pancreas so you can throw away your medication. People who are tired of being Big Pharma's diabetes cash cows. We shared our discovery with anyone we knew with this disease. I couldn't believe the results. Everyone who completed these 3 steps reversed their type 2 diabetes. We knew that we had to go bigger and show the whole world about jumpstarting your pancreas. I set a goal to share this solution with 1 million people. That's the point when Big Pharma won't be able to stop it. You see, once 1 million people know the truth, then the medical establishment will have no choice but to admit that the solution to type 2 diabetes has been discovered. So I gathered everything I'd found: the temporary meal plan that reverses type 2 diabetes in less than 8 weeks, the 7 metabolism-boosting rules for diabetics to make sure your disease stays gone, and the meal timing strategies to keep your blood sugar under control. And with my wife's help, I combined all this life-saving research into one simple guide. And we made sure it was super easy to follow. You see, I remember how tough it was when I thought I'd never escape from my disease, so we made sure all the hard work was already done. Nothing that requires a lot of money or joining a health club or finding a weird health food grocery store, no. Just dirt simple info delivered to you in 5 and 10-minute bite-sized chunks. We called it the Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer and started sharing it over the internet. Today, over 38,317 people have used these methods to reverse their disease. This simple system is saving lives and giving people hope for the future. Well, if you've watched this far, then I think you're ready to be part of this exclusive group of people. I want you to have your very own copy of this system. I want you to be part of this movement of people who are sick and tired of being diabetes cash cows and who are discovering how to destroy your type 2 diabetes. So first, let me show you what's inside. We divided the system into 3 modules, the 3 steps that'll jumpstart your pancreas, reverse your disease, and let you sharply reduce or eliminate your medication forever. Let me take a second to show you what's inside each module. Module number 1 is the Pancreas Jumpstart Temporary Meal Plan. Now, in this module, I'll walk you through a temporary meal plan that fills your body with the exact nutrients that you need to jumpstart your pancreas and say goodbye to your type 2 diabetes. You'll get step-by-step instructions on how to use this temporary meal plan to effortlessly kickstart your type 2 diabetes reversal. If you can say no to pizza and donuts for a few days, you can do this. Plus, you'll be able to throw away your overpriced drugs or insulin shots because you'll reteach your body to regulate blood sugar on its own. You'll also get the video course Insulin Sensitivity, the shortcut to weight loss, which shows you exactly how eliminating your insulin resistance will melt away that extra fat. And just to make sure you're still enjoying yourself, I'm including the video recipe guide, 3 diabetic-friendly desserts. Once you've given your disease the boot, you need to make sure it stays gone. And that's why next up is Module 2, the 7 rules to naturally amp up your metabolism. Like I mentioned, when you increase your metabolism, you lock the door on your disease, keeping it away forever. So in this module, you'll learn my favorite 30-second workout to keep your metabolism burning strong all day. Plus, you'll find out the 3 metabolism-boosting berries. You just add a handful to your meals, and your metabolism will kick into overdrive. And best of all, while these tricks are increasing your insulin absorption rate, they're also melting away fat, giving you more energy and lowering your risk of heart disease. These metabolism-boosting tricks alone could change your life. But I'm giving you more than that, because you don't just want to say goodbye to diabetes. You want to say goodbye now, and you want to say goodbye forever. Here's the key. It's not just about what you eat. It's about when you eat it. So your last step is Module 3, Time Your Meals to finish off your diabetes. Now in this module, I'll show you the precise schedule of when to eat which foods to keep your blood sugar as regular as clockwork. It's all in a dirt simple video guide. First, I'll show you the breakfast secret, the one key element that should be part of your breakfast every single day that tastes great and it sets you up to keep your blood sugar balanced all day long. You'll find out the exact number of hours you should wait between meals, and you'll discover my favorite type 2 diabetes-destroying snacks for when you need something to hold you over. And you'll get the guide Meal Timing for Weight Loss, so while your type 2 diabetes is disappearing, you can also effortlessly melt away the pounds. Plus, have you ever wondered how close to bedtime it's okay to eat? 30 minutes, 2 hours. You get it wrong and you could wake up with out-of-control blood sugar. But if you get it right, you won't have to think twice about your diabetes all day long. In this module, you'll find out exactly how long before bed to stop eating. With this type 2 diabetes destroyer, you can say goodbye to a life full of frustration and fear and start enjoying freedom from diabetes. Now, you might be wondering, how fast can you expect to see results? Well, in Dr. Taylor's main study, they tested people at 4 weeks and then at 8 weeks. By 4 weeks, about half the participants had normal blood glucose levels, and by 8 weeks, all of the participants had reversed their type 2 diabetes. The fastest it's happened was 11 days. So if you start using the type 2 diabetes destroyer today, you could be diabetes-free in less than 2 weeks. You'll start off using the delicious temporary meal plan. A lot of people say they have more energy on the very first day. You'll wake up feeling more refreshed and well-rested than you have in years. Your friends and family will notice and ask you what's different about you. This week, as you test your blood glucose levels, you'll notice that number getting closer and closer to where it should be. A week from today, you'll realize you've needed fewer insulin injections. As you start into your second week with this program, you'll discover that it feels like there are more hours in the day and you're getting more done. The truth is, you're so used to being exhausted all the time that suddenly having energy feels fantastic. And if you suffer from painful tingling neuropathy, you should notice that starting to disappear around the end of the second week. Over the next couple of weeks, as you finish the temporary meal plan and use the other modules of the program, your pancreas will kick back into gear and your body will remember how to absorb insulin. Your blood glucose will stay at a healthy, normal level, and you'll be able to stop taking insulin injections. You'll be able to talk to your doctor and see the surprised look on his face, just like I saw on my doctor's face when he saw my type 2 diabetes was gone. If you start today, then less than a month from today, you'll be free to enjoy life and never again worry about diabetes-related early death or amputation. Now, if that sounds as amazing to you as it has to thousands of other people, then don't hesitate to grab your copy of the Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer and start your journey to freedom today. Now, to be clear, I don't recommend anyone stop taking their medication cold turkey. Instead, it's best to naturally jumpstart your pancreas, naturally lowering your blood sugar until your doctor's glad to cancel your prescriptions. Hey, I'm not against all medications. For some diseases, medications are the only known path to healing, but type 2 diabetes is not one of those diseases. Your medication only helps with the symptoms, and once you jumpstart your pancreas to fix the real cause of your disease, you won't have symptoms anymore, and you can work with your doctor to say goodbye to annoying, expensive diabetes medicines forever. You know, I'd love to give this away free like I did to the first few friends that I helped, but the reality is, if we're going to grow this movement and force the medical establishment to accept the truth, then we've got to get to 1 million members. If Big Pharma shuts us down before then, this discovery will get buried like Irving Weissman's in 1997. And trust me, they're trying to keep us quiet. They have all the money in the world to try to shut us down. So I need your help in the form of giving me a fair price for this system that could radically change your life for the better and help grow this movement until everyone knows the real solution to type 2 diabetes. It offsets some of our web development expense and other costs of bringing this to you, and it helps us fight Big Pharma to make sure we stay up and running so we can grow this movement until everyone knows the real solution to type 2 diabetes. Now, when I was desperate for a solution to my disease, I know my finances were tight. That's what happens after a lifetime of shakedowns by Big Pharma. So I'm keeping the price far below even what you'd pay for your monthly medication or insulin or your insurance premiums. It's only $39.95. Not only does that $39.95 give you the secrets that you need to stop being a diabetes cash cow and reverse your own type 2 diabetes, but it also helps us keep fighting to spread the word. Hey, I've done the math, and it works out that for every person that joins our movement, it gives us the funds to spread the word to 5 more people. Think about the lowest your disease has made you. When you sign up for the Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer, you're not just pulling yourself out of that hole. You're helping pull out 5 other people with you. Hey, I may be a chef, but I am still just a regular guy. Now, I want you to feel like you're getting way more value than the little investment you make, and so I think that $39.95 is a great price, so you get some serious savings and you help us spread this message even wider. You can start destroying your type 2 diabetes right now for only $39.95. Take a second and imagine what it'll be like to finally be able to throw away your diabetes medication and feel in control, complete control of your life again. It's time to be free of type 2 diabetes. Click the button below to add the Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer to your cart right now. You'll see our secure checkout page where you're going to fill in your information to claim your copy of the system. Once you check out, you'll see the Instant Access download page. That's where you can download the Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer in a PDF version so you can read it on your computer, on your tablet or smartphone, or print it out and read it anywhere. That's also where you'll find the video guides included in the system. Let me show you what people I've already helped have had to say about Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer. Travis from Charlotte, North Carolina said, "My disease was getting worse and worse. My neuropathy was the worst part. I always had a painful tingling in my hands. It made everyday life so difficult. That's when I found the Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer. All of a sudden, my neuropathy disappeared. I went back to my doctor a few weeks later, and he was shocked at how healthy I was. I haven't needed my diabetes medication for months." Kelly from Sacramento, California said, "I was constantly worried about my blood sugar levels, and I always had to be careful what I ate. I felt trapped and I felt like a burden on my family. But then I used the pancreas jumpstart technique to reverse my diabetes, and now my family can barely keep up with me. I'm eating my favorite foods and doing the things I love. Your program gave me my life back. Thank you for saving my life." And Sarah from Rochester, New York, who said, "I was testing my blood sugar 9 or 10 times every day. You know your diabetes is bad when you develop calluses too thick to draw blood through. I felt chained in my refrigerator where I kept my insulin. But since I've discovered your Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer, everything is better. In just 3 weeks, I was down to needing just 1 insulin shot per day. 6 weeks into the program, I used the last insulin shot I ever needed. Thank you for helping me feel free and happy again." So now that you've seen how it worked for them, I want you to see how it works for you. So here's a risk-free way for you to try out the Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer. Download the system right now and start using it. If for some reason it doesn't work for you, even though it's worked for virtually every single person to follow the instructions and complete the program so far, or if you just decide it's not for you, then I'm offering you a money-back guarantee. So if for any reason you're not satisfied with the Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer, just request a refund within 60 days and I'll refund your money 100%. That means that in 60 days, you will have jump-started your pancreas and reversed the real cause and painful symptoms of your Type 2 diabetes, or you'll get every penny back. If you're ready to make the smartest decision of your life, click the Add to Cart button right now. Now, before I sign off, I really want you to think for a moment about your future and about your family. What'll happen if you don't make any changes? What'll happen if you let your diabetes destroy your life? If instead of joining our cause, you just stay stuck in your disease along with the millions of diabetes cash cows who have given up? Every day for the rest of your life, you'll have to go through the annoyance and pain of blood tests and insulin injections. You'll try medicine after medicine with no results except dangerous side effects like nausea, weight gain, and heart disease. Not to mention all the vacations, new cars, and other luxuries that you won't be able to afford because you're spending all your money on your diabetes medication. Until the day you die, you'll be a burden on your friends and family. But even that torture won't be enough to stop the slow decay of your body. You see, each day you'll have less energy. Each month your body will get worse and worse. How long until your foot won't stop tingling and then it goes completely numb? How long until the doctor tells you that they have to cut it off? How many amputations will you go through before diabetes leads you to an early death? Now, I'm sorry if this scares you, but sometimes I feel like I just have to be direct. After all, this was the direction my life was heading until I discovered how to destroy my type 2 diabetes. I used to be one of millions of people who rolled over and let Big Pharma just keep me on diabetes life support and let them keep robbing me blind. Listen, this doesn't have to happen to you. You can destroy your type 2 diabetes just like I did. You can join our cause and help us get the word out to 1 million people so we can finally put an end to Big Pharma's diabetes shakedown. You can start enjoying your life again, even eating your favorite foods that used to make your blood sugar go haywire. You can live a long, happy life, having the energy you need to do the things you love with the people you love. You can be free. All it takes is the simple pancreas jumpstart technique, which I'm sending you in your risk-free copy of Type 2 Diabetes Destroyer. I've already done all the hard work for you. All that's left is to click the button and start using the technique. Go ahead, click the Add to Cart button below to start your new future today. In case you have questions, I've collected a few of the most common ones right here to answer. Does type 2 diabetes destroyer really work? Yes, like I said, virtually every single person who's completed the program has been able to reverse their diabetes. So far, that's over 38,317 people. It jumpstarts your pancreas to start producing enough insulin again and retrains your body to absorb and use that insulin. Obviously, you can't just download the system and then never use it. It works if you work it. That's why I've made it so simple to follow. How soon can I stop taking my medication? Remember, I recommend you use the type 2 diabetes destroyer to naturally reverse your diabetes and then decide with your doctor when to go off your medication. Dr. Taylor's study showed that within 8 weeks, every participant had brought their blood sugar down to normal levels and reversed their disease. Around half reversed their disease at 4 weeks. The fastest recorded was 11 days. So depending on factors like your genetics, the severity of your disease, and how committed you are to the program, most people will destroy their type 2 diabetes in between 2 and 6 weeks. Is it scientifically proven? Absolutely. The diabetes destroyer system is based on research at Newcastle University in England, Harvard University here in the US, and dozens of other studies. There have been studies all over the world showing that these principles can reverse your type 2 diabetes. How difficult is this program? The first step is the toughest, but like I said, if you can say no to donuts and pizza once in a while, you can handle this temporary meal plan. And it's obviously not too hard since people all over the world have successfully used these methods. Plus, once you finish the first step, the next two are practically effortless. If for some reason it doesn't work for you, just let me know and I'll refund your money 100%. Now, let me share the easiest, most relaxing trick that I use to lower my blood sugar after I eat something sweet. I go for a short walk. It's that easy, and who doesn't love getting outside for a few minutes? Researchers at the University of Washington found that even light exercise like walking after eating will lower your blood sugar for up to 24 hours. It's the perfect little boost to helping the type 2 diabetes destroyer make these next few weeks the most life-changing time that you've ever experienced. I mean that. Now that you know the truth, nothing can ever be the same again. It's time to be free from your disease. Now that I've shown you the proof that Diabetes Destroyer works, it's up to you to try it for yourself. Click the Add to Cart button to start destroying your type 2 diabetes right now.